I'd like to call the HRC to order. Kane, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Major, Mr. Block, Mr. Feltner, here. Ms. Holycross,
Here.
Mr. Keller,
Here.
Ms. Phillips, Mr. Seaver,
Present.
Ms. Villalobos.
Present.
I move, oh no, we haven't done that yet.
All right. We will move on to the approval of the March 17th minutes, and I trust that everyone had time to read the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of May 17th meeting?
Do you want to say something, Sonia? Then I move that the minutes from the March 17th, 2022 meetings be adopted as written.
I'll second.
Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
All right. We'll move right on into the Juneteenth update, and I'm not sure who, Salome, do you know, I guess we all can talk to that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Who would like to give their perspective on Juneteenth? Maybe we ought to have Trey.
We should probably have Trey lead the discussion.
I think that would be great. We appreciate you being here tonight, Trey.
Thanks for having me. Kind of like my first, I think, official meeting in person, so, you guys let me know if I'm doing anything wrong or I shouldn't do. But in terms of updates,
You're amongst friends. You're fine.
I did have some notes here. I'm not sure exactly what all you guys are interested in. But in terms of the Ruby Bridges turnout, it started off with that kickoff event that Friday night. We had we estimated 230 or so attendees to that event. I think that event went really well and went off without any issues. If you were there, you got to hear Ruby Bridges speak about her experience going through the school system, integrating the school system there, and then kind of her life after that and up until that point. The Juneteenth event Saturday at McKagan Race Park, that went really well too. Don't have estimated numbers on that, so I apologize for that, but I think overall we heard very good feedback. The sound, having electricity there really improved with the sound quality. Did get that feedback that no matter where you were at in the park that you could hear. And people seemed to enjoy the entertainment that we had, which was the LYD band, and then of course the marching band that did the walk for us, was requested to come back again. I don't know if there's anything else specifically you guys want me to address about the Juneteenth event. Plans for next year. Again, we do plan to have it, and I think going forward, we did realize that there is increased activities going on in the surrounding area in terms of other cities and stuff like that doing their own event. And so I think going forward, we will have, that third Saturday of June be the Troy Juneteenth event. And so as a reoccurring thing if we can.
I thought participation was great. We had more booths than last year.
So I was none able to attend last year, so I don't know what the comparison was. I know we didn't have as many booths show up as we had, maybe sign up or express interest. I think part of that was the route that we tried to take this year in terms of getting people to sign up, try to go the more digital route, which I think was a hindrance. So I think going forward, we have a better plan at getting those commitments and things like that.
I thought it went very nicely done, Trey, and your committee. I thought the band was fantastic. Anyone who opens with "Word Up" is okay in my book. It reminds me of the days at the Rec. I thought everything was good. My only criticism was after Ruby Bridges, my 24-year-old daughter got in the car with my wife and I and said, "Dad, she's like your age. I thought she would be a lot older." So I'm not sure that how to take that, but I thought kudos to you and Tracy for putting that together, and Doug Lenz, and I think that can only grow into a nice event to kick off, if that's the path your group decides to take. But from the HRC perspective and coming from, what, Sonia, 14 months ago, planting a seed in some people's minds to where we've been with 2 years of having that done, I think it's grown fabulously. So, and thanks to the police department. I know we lost the little screw to the thing, so I gave some more to weight. So hopefully we're all good with that. And everything was good except Mr. Block's hamburgers were kind of problematic, but other than that, this was good.
Only because you got bad taste.
Nicely done, Trey. Other people might want to say stuff. That's just my comments. I thought you did a great job.
I know how much time that goes into planning an event like that, and well done. I appreciate the invitation for the HRC to have the booth there. That was fruitful to us. There were several people I talked to that had no idea that the HRC committee existed. So that was helpful to us, and we appreciate the invitation to be there. Anybody else?
Thank you, Trey.
Thank you.
So we're gonna move on to historical marker updates. So the Ohio Historical Marker application unfortunately was rejected. If they want more history behind the cemetery, and I guess we didn't provide enough, so I think we're going to try again. We're going to touch base with Patrick Kennedy and our other historians to see if that's warranted before we make the decision to try again. We were successful in getting the Troy Foundation grant. Is that 4,000 plus? 4,000 plus, and that was to anchor and to get the things that we needed for the historical marker. So we're probably gonna have to return that and reapply, I would assume, or we'll figure that out. Yeah, so the next piece would be our Waco signs honoring community members, and that is actually, tell me, what was the date that you said?
August 10th.
August 10th, those, I guess, what do we call them, frames or pieces will be in.
Interpretive signage. What we call
Interpretive signage will be in, so we'll probably have to think of an intentional time, have a small ceremony of sorts in honoring those 5 individuals or 4 individuals. So I think we'll probably have to figure that out in conjunction with, I don't know, I know that we haven't decided if there'll be other ceremonies, so we want to make sure that we're not in front of, so we'll have to figure out when we want to do that, and if there's a significant date of sort, so to be continued on that. And that is our historical marker update. It's like bittersweet. We did a whole lot of hard work. We got the funding, thought it was all together, and unfortunately, we'll just have to do a little bit more work, but I think it can be done. Next year is the 160th anniversary to that specific battle. And so, again, I'll have to just call Ohio Historical Marker and see if that timeline can still be made. I'm just gonna stay hopeful.
So did they say why they didn't approve it, or?
Yeah, they wanted more historical facts within the application. So the application, I helped with it, Salome helped with it, and Ben did most of it, Ben Southerly, who's another historian. So again, I just think we need to get more information on the specific soldiers that we do want to honor. And I think that should be enough to get it approved. So I don't want to give up, but that's where we're at right now.
I think things like this,
Yeah.
you have to start somewhere, and it's a learning process, and I think we're learning
Yeah.
what the process is and the information they need. So again, appreciate all the work on it.
Definitely.
But-
I mean, there's a team of people.
But again, you've put so
yeah.
much work in now, I think you retool and you
Yep.
keep throwing it at them until they
Yeah.
till you have everything they
That's
want?
kind of where I'm at. It's kind of like taking it personal now. We're gonna
I just
keep
want you
going.
to, your work has not been wasted, your time's not
Yeah.
been wasted. That's just
Oh, definitely.
that's the way the process works with stuff like that.
And we have a good historical team already, and Patrick is on that team, so we're pretty confident that we'll be better next time. We'll get it done.
Any questions for Sonia on that? Additional questions?
Now, our self-guided walking tour, we haven't really done much with that, in hopes the Ohio Historical Marker at the cemetery and the site that we will erect honoring our 4 citizens per se could have been the beginning of that. So I still say it kind of makes sense, if we're gonna do history work and we're gonna honor it and have intentional spaces, to just get the QR code as we go. And then that way we can be working on who's going to be narrating or doing, you know, that project. And we haven't looked at financially how much, you know, we're gonna put into that project or what we need to do. So that's kind of the one that's been lacking. If anybody has any ideas, or again, I think the majority of you are on those emails, so you can kind of see the activity going on with that. Do you have anything to add for walking tour? Any questions about the QR walking tour? Okay. Trey, we'll have you come back up.
On stage again, all right.
So we were, this was on the agenda, and I
Yes.
knew you were the one to come and break down what IDEA is. And so I'm
Okay,
excited for you to
yeah.
do that.
So IDEA Troy, Inclusion, Diversity, Equity Advocates for Troy, really stemmed from the Juneteenth celebration, and that planning committee needed a home for it to continue on. That's really what it stemmed from. A lot of the team planning that, so Kane, Kemma, so Freedom Chasers, MLK, and different members, you know, already have their own organizations. And as we were trying to plan it for this year specifically, you know, we needed things like insurance. We needed ways for people to donate money so we can put on the event if people want to give donations and things like that. And so with that, we knew we had to become more formal. So that's where Idea Troy came from. You know, with the larger thought is to bring together the MLK team, Freedom Chasers, the Juneteenth planning team, to increase their resources, use the resources that are there, provide different diversity awareness, community conversations and talks, again, to the community, and again, keep the Juneteenth celebration kind of going. We have got a pamphlet here that I can hand out that kind of gives our, you know, vision and mission statement that we've developed. We've developed a board application for members. You know, even in that, there's if you don't want to be on the board per se, but you still want to be a part of one of the planning committees, right? We have that avenue. And then some operating guidelines and things that we developed. But that's really the you know, no pun intended, idea behind Idea Troy, right? Any questions there? Anything I didn't touch on for anybody?
I'd love to see the pamphlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's the same one we used at Ruby Bridges.
Okay.
And I'll just, so you should be familiar with that one. I can pass these out for everyone else though.
And this is a question that you might not have an answer to at this moment, but as an HRC, how can HRC help support IDEA?
So in, actually in the operating guidelines and kind of the board member position, there is a place for HRC members or an HRC member. Outside of that, it is really, again, just the continued support of really the Juneteenth event and, you know, your involvement in events you're already a part of. So Freedom Chasers events, Martin Luther King planning, and of course the Juneteenth planning as well.
Trey, I know at one time there was also discussion about the Festival of Nations.
Yes.
Is there any more conversation with them? Is that,
So we haven't had it as of yet. I think we were scheduled a long time ago to link up, and just schedules never coalesced and came together. I think that's still a conversation to be had and that we can have for sure. I think right now, again, this is still early. I'm the president. We are still working on getting those other formal positions, secretary, treasurer, vice president, things like that, and then filling up the board. And then I think those conversations can be had. I know one of the kind of stresses and strains now is, as we have this new group and everybody has their own group and day jobs, start to feel that stress and strain of putting on events and things like that. So that's what I'm working towards.
Nice, thank you. Any questions from anybody?
The only thing I would add, Trey, is it's a 501c3 that's run through the Troy Foundation.
Correct. Yes.
So I just looked on the back here, and I think it's implied, but all donations then will be tax deductible as they put them in through the Troy Foundation. So just something you might want to add to assist the people that donate to nonprofits. That's how that would happen. So as a result of that, they're the umbrella for Idea Troy.
Correct.
They'll manage all the funds for Idea Troy, but Idea Troy still gets the benefit of the tax exempt status and using their privileges for that purpose. So just a little shout out to Troy Foundation for helping us do that, because there was some discussion about taking it a different direction, and this really helped, especially this year with the donation that
Michelle
came
Hobart,
in.
yeah.
So, does HRC know about the donation? You might want to touch on that. That probably got brought out.
Thought it might have came out before, but no. So for not only this year's event, but future events, Michelle Hobart made a very generous donation in the amount of, $20,000 to support, the Juneteenth events here in Troy, after hearing, the success with our first one last year, and that it was happening again this year. And I think she comes in periodically and checks out, just gets a pulse on what's going on. Melissa told her about, us and what we were doing, and she felt moved to give us that donation. So that was a real big help, especially this year. Again, with it kind of being more, us focused, meaning, not as much support from the city in terms of insurance and things like that, and paying for that type of stuff. That really helped us, kind of get over a hump and still be able to get this event off this year.
Well, thank you for being here tonight, and we appreciate the concept and the idea. And,
Thank you.
and all the hard work behind that. Because the reality is we need to come at this at a lot of different angles and several different groups will make us stronger, I think. So.
Correct, yeah.
Yep.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any commissioner members that would like to make any comments or insights or concerns at this point? Hearing none, I see some people have come to join us. Does anybody in the public want to make some comments?
Good evening, Commissioners. Riley Barringer, Crestwood Drive. I want to say thank you, first of all, to the Human Relations Commission for working along with Idea Troy for putting on one heck of a Juneteenth celebration. I was proud to be a part of it again this year, as I was last year. And I promise you guys, next year, you're going to see something really neat, because I am personally going to dress as a Union Major General and walk in the parade. And Sonia, you remember the idea I pitched to you this year. I came across a copy of, just putzing around on the internet like I like to do. I came across a copy of General Granger's General Order Number 3, which, as you know, was read out on June 19th, 1865 in Galveston, Texas. And I thought, if we hadn't had that general order read, we wouldn't be celebrating Juneteenth today. So my idea was, and I think I want to see what you guys think about this, have that read at the start of the Juneteenth celebration going forward. And Trey, I talked to Trey about it before the meeting tonight, and he seems to think it's a killer idea. So look forward to that for next year.
Is there a way we can incorporate it from a history standpoint possibly, but again, not just a unilateral decision?
Well, I would love, that's why I say I would love to I'll talk to you more after the meeting. Secondly, I just have a question for you. If you remember some time back, you were organizing your meetings, and I challenged you at that time to get out into the neighborhood more, in your neighborhoods more, and do some listening between meetings. And I'm just curious, not to stir up any hornet's nests or anything like that. I'm wondering if you guys have had the opportunity to do that, and how that's been, what you've been getting back from the public on what y'all are doing. I'm just wondering if anybody has any comments about that. Thank you.
Well, hold on, we'll answer your questions. One, does anybody have anything to say about the union soldier representation?
It's a Juneteenth
That's a
celebration.
Yeah.
The HRC can't make the
Right,
decision.
but I think-
Well,
It's a good idea.
I'm just bringing it up to you guys because I think it was an idea that I pitched. I know I pitched it to Sonia this year, and
But my point was, this committee, I mean,
Right, I think we just
yeah,
want
I think
to
it's a good idea, and Trey will be glad to talk to you, and I think that's the appropriate course of action, and I think that's noble of you to look into it, and if you want to wear that hot
wool uniform. Are you sure you don't want to do it, Tom?
and give a 10-minute talk,
Oh, it wouldn't even be that long. It wouldn't even be that long. But yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't seeking approval from the HRC because I know you can't, that's not your ballywick, so to speak. But like I said, it was just an idea that I pitched to Sonia at this year's celebration. And so it's just something I thought I would run up the flagpole and see who salutes it, so to speak.
So your second part, I've been asking people in the community, and I get either you absolutely know there's HRC, or you still have no clue.
Really?
And it's disheartening, yeah. So I don't know if it's marketing on our part, or, maybe now that the celebration has a home, intentional home, that, we start doing other work that captures people's attention. So I just wanted to answer your question.
No, and I appreciate that. And like I said, I appreciate that because that was a challenge I laid out to you back in January, I think, back when you were talking about going to quarterly meetings. And on the historical markers, I kind of had, could you explain to me what your idea was on that? Because I was a little...
On the Ohio historical marker?
Yes, ma'am.
So we were going to acknowledge that we have soldiers from, and I reference, because I'm not an historian, the movie Glory. Do you remember Matthew Broderick's movie?
No, unfortunately, and me being a fan of history movies, I regret that I did not see that one.
So it's a Civil War battle, and what's unique about it is black soldiers fought along with white soldiers. And some of those soldiers, I think 6 to 8 of them are buried directly in our cemetery.
At Riverside?
That are African American, and then I think there might be 20 plus that are Caucasian American. And so the 160th anniversary of that battle, and I'm sorry because I get stuck at the movie Glory, is next year.
I'll research it when I go home tonight.
Yeah, so again, we needed to do more in-depth research. There was some done beyond what I'm saying now, I just don't have the
Correct.
application.
Okay, have you ever thought about recognizing the connection with the Underground Railroad that exists in Troy?
That actually, it was the first mention in the QR walking tour.
Okay.
So there are 11 houses or sites that we found per the historical library, and they were slated to be a part of that. We
Okay.
just, again, we haven't gotten very far with that QR walking tour.
Okay. Well, you guys are doing a bang-up job, I have to tell you. And Kenny, your burgers were delicious at the Juneteenth celebration. I just wanted you to know.
Oh, I already know.
Thanks, guys.
What we
Thank
do.
you.
Brad, we appreciate, again, you continuing to be here at several meetings and keeping us on our toes, and just your enthusiasm for the work.
Well, it's something that needs to be done, and I really wish, my wish for this whole matter, this whole Juneteenth thing is it goes beyond our borders. Not just Troy, Piqua has one. I would love to see us do a county-wide Juneteenth celebration if we can manage to pull it off. Get all the municipalities and the whole county together and do one.
And I would direct you to, you know who's ahead of that, you can.
Oh, yeah.
You can share with Trey, and so thank you for
Thanks,
doing that.
guys.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else in the crowd that would like to make any comments?
You coming, Trace?
I'm supporting Trey.
Yeah.
So, no, I appreciate you guys recognizing Trey and his efforts because he has hundreds of hours in planning and preparation and fundraising and coordinating and cat herding and all the things. And we're really proud of him. And this community is really indebted to him and his leadership that he has shown. So, yeah, we owe him a lot.
Round of applause, what'd you say?
Yeah, sure. Again, we've already acknowledged that our police force is represented here with Sean and Joel, and again, we appreciate the work you continue to do and the reports you're providing to us, and let the public know that we do get police reports, and from my observation of the police reports, it seems like justice is being distributed equally amongst all races and ethnicities. It looks, so we appreciate that. We appreciate the transparency of the police department.
Yeah, and acknowledge that it's not an easy job. And not only equality among races, but among citizens. You know, thank you for doing those hard things within your department that no one wants to necessarily have to be the one to do. So I appreciate that, definitely.
And with that said, I will also say, I think any of us who are not of color, we need to continue to work hard because, again, I just keep being made more and more aware of my own biases and how that influences the way I speak, the way I do things that are hurtful to other people. And so we need to continue to work towards all our personal journeys in learning and educating ourselves in this work. There is much more for us to do in the systemic parts of racism. So that's all I have. Does anybody else have anything they want to add?
Sure. You asked a question about if we went out in the community and was talking to people about HRC. So in my community, I was kind of just, being neighborly, walking my dog through the neighborhood, and an individual stopped me and says, "Hey, aren't you on the HRC?" And I seen you at the Juneteenth thing, and why do we need that, is what he said. I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "I think it's a way of separating us. You got this, we got that." So I told him, I said, "No, it's not separation, it's inclusion. So we have a 4th of July celebration." I said, "Think of Juneteenth just the same way as that, a Freedom Day." And acknowledging that is what we're trying to bring about, so people know their history. I mean, everybody wants to know their history, and feel proud about it. when you include people, they feel like ownership. They value, themselves and their community more. When they're not involved in the community or the community's not supporting them or what we're doing, then people feel like they're being left out. He said, I didn't think of it that way. And I said, well, that's the systemic racism thing. You don't think of it because nobody's taught you to be aware of that. Mm-hmm. And it's not nobody trying to beat you down with it. It's just, we're just trying to inform people, and then the more information you get, the better you can handle things. You can look at both sides of things instead of just one side. But to answer your question, yeah, we're out there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you, Trey, for all you've done.